Hi again. We've covered eco-landscapes and wildfire protection. Now we're shifting to a fast-moving, high-stakes topic, flooding, wetlands, and drainage. Three things that used to be background issues. Now they're right up front thanks to climate change. Carlisle is no stranger to water. About 20% of our land is in a flood hazard district. We've got wetlands, ponds, roadside swales, and lots of private wells and septic systems. And now we're facing more intense storms, shifting rainfall patterns, and longer droughts. So in this theme, we've identified 4 key actions to reduce flood risk, improve water quality, and clarify responsibility. The first action is to fix the zoning overlay. Right now, our zoning includes a single wetland/floodplain overlay district. That's a mashup of 2 very different things. Floodplains are mapped by FEMA to protect buildings and infrastructure. Wetlands are regulated to protect habitats and water quality, but they're bundled together in one overlay district, and that's confusing. They serve different purposes, they're delineated differently, and the zoning language doesn't treat wetlands properly anyway. So the recommendation is to separate the 2. Let FEMA's mapped floodplains be used for building protections, and let wetlands continue to be managed under the Wetlands Protection Act and local wetland bylaws with case-by-case field verification. It's a simple zoning cleanup, and it improves clarity for developers, staff, and residents. That's a short-term change that we can act on soon. The next action is to expand flood protection beyond outdated FEMA maps. FEMA's flood maps are outdated. Carlisle's maps are from 2014 and they don't account for climate change. We know that storms are getting worse, floods are spreading wider, but we're still regulating based on an old 1% annual chance floodplain, the so-called 100-year floodplain. What we're recommending is that we shift to using the 0.2% annual chance floodplain, also known as the 500-year floodplain. Why? It reflects a wider area likely to flood under modern conditions. It's already used in FEMA's Federal Flood Risk Management Standard for federally funded projects, and it better matches local wetland conditions. This doesn't mean all new development is not allowed. It means we're smarter about siting, stormwater, and flood resilience. We also want to standardize floodplain definitions across all town codes, whether that's subdivision regulations, the Board of Health, or water supply regulations, one definition used consistently. That's a short-term action and a major step forward. Action 10 is about strengthening protections for the wetlands themselves. Now, Carlisle has a local wetlands bylaw, and we follow the State Wetlands Protection Act. That's a solid start. But right now, our local bylaw only mirrors the state. It doesn't go beyond it. So we're recommending tighter limits on buffer zone impacts, especially within 50 feet of a wetland or stream, stronger stormwater management requirements, even for smaller projects, and adopting more current rainfall data in stormwater design, using NOAA's updated Atlas 14 numbers and not outdated 1961 figures. Right now, small subdivisions, like 4-lot developments, don't have to meet Massachusetts stormwater standards, but they still create runoff, especially if there are driveways and lawns. We can fix that. So the Planning Board and Conservation Commission can work together to apply stormwater standards more broadly, require infiltration, treatment, and retention, and start using climate-adjusted rainfall volumes in our stormwater models. This is a medium-term action with a big long-term payoff. And finally, Action 11 addresses roadside ditches. This one may sound minor, but it's not. Roadside ditches and swales are everywhere in Carlisle, especially near agricultural fields, and no one's quite sure who owns them or who can maintain them. Why the confusion? Some are technically wetlands, others are road drainage, and others are used by farmers who may or may not have the right to clear them. And sometimes they're just forgotten. But clogged ditches can cause backups, flooding, and erosion, so we need to fix it. We're recommending that the Conservation Commission, Department of Public Works, Agricultural Commission, and farmers come together to identify and map ditch locations, to clarify ownership, whether it's public, private, or shared, and create a maintenance program that's legal, clear, and proactive. This supports not just flood resilience, but also local farming and ecosystem protection. It's a medium-term action, but we can start those conversations now. To summarize, we can separate floodplains and wetlands in zoning so we can manage them each with clarity. We can expand the regulatory floodplain to reflect modern flood risks instead of relying on outdated FEMA maps. We can strengthen wetland protection with tougher buffer rules and better stormwater standards. And we can resolve ditch ownership and maintenance to protect farms and roads from flooding and confusion. Each of these actions supports ecosystem health, water quality, infrastructure durability, and our ability to adapt to future rainfall and drought patterns.